Continuing on with Freud, I got cut off with projection, and these defense mechanisms I really want you to understand. So I'll give examples and kind of help you explore these. So projection is also common. We tend to not want to think about our own desires, and we see it in other people, right? What we can't do. So, and we're threatened by it. Our ego is threatened by it. So, a good example of projection is when, let's say, you're feeling insecure about how you look in a prom dress. You have body insecurity issues. So instead of, being able to admit that, you pick on, everybody else's dresses on, Facebook, Instagram, and you trash other people when you yourself, feel bad about how you look. So let's go on to, oh my gosh, next slide. Here we go. All right, guys, rationalization. We do this all, especially, Sunday night before homework on Monday. We offer ourselves, right, these excuses, the explanation for, why we can still watch Netflix, even though we have an essay due or terms and usage. So we tend to just, justify so that we don't have to deal with reality, right? So we can keep our ego protected from anxiety. So displacement, you'll see this in people with anger issues. They throw things, they kick things. I can think about my dad. He still, if he gets angry, he'll throw something on the golf course. So it doesn't always have to be sexual. It's also aggressive. And it's just another outlet. Instead of, dealing with your feelings, you take it out on another object or person. So it's a redirection, and it's also done, unconsciously. So next one. Sublimation is a healthy defense mechanism, right? So you transfer kind of like your impulses, maybe it's anger, aggression, to something more socially acceptable. So I would say, guys, like on Monday nights, I go to kickboxing. It gets out my aggression, and it's healthy. I'm not kicking somebody for real. I'm just trying to get out those impulses in a healthy way. So I would say that one is a good use of. Okay, Mr. Penn. Yeah, I'm recording right now, so I'll tell them that you said hi. It's all right. Yeah, just saying hi to them. Mr. Penn says hi. Bye. All right, so sublimation, I do kickboxing. So denial is where we just don't want to, accept something that's painful. So we even just refuse to believe that something is going on. So denial could be, right now that we're in this coronavirus outbreak, right? I've been in denial. I have just not been dealing with reality. And here we are. School is closed. I can't believe it. All right. So, anxiety, we try to keep at bay with these defense mechanisms. All right, guys. So, Neo-Freudians are module 56, and I want to try to get in some of this because they're in the reading and that put them in the terms and usage. And so Carl Jung, that's how you pronounce it, Jung, not Jung. His whole theory, guys, is called the collective unconscious. And so he agreed with Freud in terms of this reservoir, right, of things in our unconscious, but he saw it more as archetypes. And archetypes, guys, are these myths and images that come up maybe in our dreams, and we share them, right, because of a common ancestry, a common past. And so, things such as mother, sun, earth, those have come up in many people's unconscious projections. Adler, you guys, Alfred Adler also agreed with Freud in this kind of childhood conflict, but he saw it as social, right, not sexual. And so this whole inferiority complex kind of gets back to that notion where I was mentioning, identification, where children kind of identify with their parent to develop their superego, their values. So Adler really stressed that, children strive to feel good about themselves, and they feel diminished right, in the eyes of their parents. And so that kind of inferiority complex drives the development of personality in childhood. All right, we love her name, Karen Horney. But she is also a neo-Freudian, which means she agrees in this unconscious notion. And she agrees also with Adler, right, that it's social, right, not sexual. And she really also, as a feminist, kind of argued that, Freud's emphasis on the phallic stage and girls having penis envy unconsciously, she contended that by saying, well, then men, have envy of women's wombs, of their reproductive capabilities. So all of this, is just, healthy discourse that just shows you that once a theory is made, such as Freud's unconscious, then you have other people kind of take little bits of his theory and then come up with their own versions as well. So I want you to know the three neo-Freudians. And we're going to do this in school. And well, we'll definitely debrief. So guys, projective tests, now that you know what projection is, right? It does reveal what's kind of hidden in the unconscious mind, well, theoretically, according to Freud. And two sample kind of projective tests are the TAT and the Rorschach. And I will post some activities for you guys on Google Classroom, and we'll debrief, when we return to school. But it does kind of help you connect to this unit if you guys participate in these projective tests. So the TAT, I will put images on Classroom, and your whole job, guys, is to relax and write down what first comes to mind when you see this kind of ambiguous picture that could be the start of a story, and you just provide like the first sentence or two for what you think is going on. And so this does, again, kind of go with that free association concept of, what's lurking just below the surface. And Henry Murray here for the TAT came up with this to kind of promote Freud's, theory of the unconscious, that you can get at it by using these ambiguous pictures. So we'll do that. And this one, obviously, you've seen in my room. I have students make Rorschachs, and then we analyze them. But there are, you guys, 10 in the set that Hermann Rorschach developed. And, it's mostly used in children to see what's been buried, right, or repressed. And, the blots, I'll put the 10 up on Classroom for you guys, and you can kind of do your own version of Rorschach. And again, make sure you guys know that there's no right or wrong answer, and it's all about your past, right? Your reservoir, your iceberg. So super fun. And I just want you guys to, I'm going to wrap up soon. I just want you guys to think about, from our past unit, right, with intelligence, that, these tests do kind of lack reliability and validity. So I want you guys to just make sure again, those words. And then in relation to this unit, right, they wouldn't be consistent, right, because you'd get different interpretations from the same patient, right? Different psychologists would come up with different things, so that's not reliable. And then it's not valid either if your answers can be matched up to diagnose you as a serial killer, somebody who's a sociopath, right? So it wouldn't be valid, right, if you are normal and healthy and then your answers were not. So those are just criticisms. Let's just go on to a couple more evaluations. So here's where Freud, people accept some of his contributions, but then the modern stuff kind of takes it with a grain of salt. And so people now today really think personality is not just childhood, right? It's throughout your life. They also believe that Freud underemphasized, peer influence. So guys, think about Erik Erikson, right? And the stages we talked about. So, he obviously, Freud focused on parent, but, I would also agree that, peers are super instrumental, especially with adolescents. I'm just going to do a couple more things that Freud people disagree with. So wish fulfillment, remember with our sleep and dream theories, there is now, more discussion that there's other reasons for dreams besides wish fulfillment. And Freudian slips, remember when you call, for example, me mom, those were seen as, Freud saying that that's coming from your unconscious, but it also could be explained just with, cognitive processing. Freud also, talked all about sexuality and today, guys, modern research is saying that, it doesn't, if you suppress sexuality, it does lead to psychological disorders. So sexual inhibition has decreased, right? People are more sexually active, but sexual disorders through psych have not, decreased. So there's that to think about. And um, repression, you guys, is, again, remember, the key thing for defense mechanisms. And so to evaluate it, if you look at majority of children, death camp survivors, battle-scarred veterans with PTSD, they are unable to repress their painful experiences. So that kind of goes against Freud's repression argument. And for the unconscious mind, we can now see that, from how we think, guys, cognitively, that schemas do kind of automatically control our perceptions. And you guys already know about this, but parallel processing also occurs, right, where things happen at the same time. We do have implicit memories, right, when we talked about how things are stored that we don't know how they got there. We have emotions that activate instantly without consciousness. And I'm just going to show you, let's see. Yeah. The last thing I want to point out, guys, before I run out of time, is the terror management theory. It's in your terms and usage, and it's defined as thinking about one's own mortality. So it's a kind of a pervasive, widespread human fear and source of anxiety. And so looking at this, guys, the research shows that death anxiety, increases people's contempt or negative feelings towards other people. It also increases the esteem for oneself, right? Think about that unconscious protection of your ego, right? And it also, guys, we see this death anxiety cause people to kind of cling more to their morals and their religious convictions, perhaps maybe to anchor them in the face of anxiety. And also, guys, we do see people, in the face of death, like 9/11, right? People actually spent that time calling their loved ones. And so that's another kind of byproduct of terror management theory. All right, so if I get to this slide, that means we're going to wrap up, and I will do this module for another recording. This is Miss Tev signing off. I'll see you guys soon.